I always found mirrors eerie, especially at night. The way they reflected light and shadows, distorting reality into something sinister, always sent shivers down my spine. But nothing could prepare me for the horrors that unfolded when a peculiar antique mirror appeared in my bedroom. It was a gift from my late grandmother, an heirloom with ornate carvings and a mysterious aura. At first I admired its vintage charm, unaware of the malevolent presence lurking within. Strange occurrences began to plague my nights, subtle at first, but growing more unsettling with each passing day. One evening as I prepared for bed, I caught a glimpse of movement in the mirror's reflection. It was fleeting, a shadowy figure darting out of sight as quickly as it appeared. I dismissed it as a trick of the light, but the unease lingered. As nights passed, the mirror seemed to come alive, its surface rippling like water, distorting my reflection into grotesque shapes. I woke to whispers in the darkness, voices that echoed from within the mirror, whispering secrets too sinister to comprehend. Fear consumed me, but curiosity drove me to unravel the mirror's mysteries. I researched its origins, delving into family history and uncovering tales of tragedy and despair. It seemed the mirror held the spirits of those who had met untimely ends, trapped in its reflective prison for eternity. Desperate to break the curse, I sought the help of a local medium, hoping to communicate with the trapped souls. Together we conducted a séance, calling out to the spirits bound to the mirror. Their responses were chilling, filled with anguish and longing for release. With each passing moment, the mirror's hold on me tightened, its malevolent energy seeping into my dreams and waking hours. I feared I would become another victim of its curse, lost to the shadows forever. But as dawn broke on the fateful night, the medium uncovered a solution, a ritual to banish the spirits from the mirror and cleanse its tainted surface. With trembling hands I followed her instructions, reciting ancient incantations and offering prayers for the lost souls. At last the mirror's surface stilled, its malevolent presence dissipating like fog in the morning sun. I watched in awe as the spirits vanished into the light, their anguished cries fading into silence. With the curse broken, I banished the mirror from my bedroom, its ornate frame a reminder of the horrors I had faced. Though the ordeal had left its mark on me, I emerged stronger, no longer haunted by the phantom reflections that had once tormented my nights. But as I turned to leave the room one final time, I caught a glimpse of movement in the mirror's surface, a flicker of shadow that sent a chill down my spine. I knew then that the mirror's curse had not been fully lifted, and that its secrets would continue to haunt me for years to come. There was always something unsettling about the closet in my bedroom. Its old wooden door, weathered and worn with age, emitted an eerie creak whenever it was opened, as if protesting the intrusion into its dark depths. For years I avoided it, sensing an unseen presence lurking within. But one fateful night, curiosity got the better of me. As I lay in bed, the soft glow of moonlight casting shadows across the room, I heard it, a faint creaking, like the sound of footsteps echoing from within the closet. My heart pounded in my chest as I approached, trembling fingers reaching for the door. With a hesitant push, the door swung open, revealing a darkness so profound it seemed to swallow the very light. I peered into the depths, straining to see through the inky blackness, but all I could discern were vague shapes and shifting shadows. As I stepped closer, a chill ran down my spine, and I realized with a start that the closet was far larger on the inside than it appeared from the outside. Its dimensions seemed to defy logic, stretching into an endless expanse of darkness that beckoned me to explore. With trepidation, I stepped over the threshold, the floor beneath my feet cold and unyielding. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and I gagged as the stench assaulted my senses. I pressed onward, determined to uncover the secrets hidden within the closet's depths. As I ventured deeper, the darkness seemed to take on a life of its own, twisting and shifting with every step. I stumbled over unseen obstacles, my heart racing as I struggled to maintain my bearings in the oppressive gloom. Suddenly a sound pierced the silence, a low, guttural growl that sent a wave of terror coursing through my veins. I froze in place, fear paralyzing me as the source of the sound drew closer. With a shuddering breath, I forced myself to move, desperate to escape the nightmare unfolding around me. But no matter how fast I ran, the darkness seemed to swallow me whole, its tendrils reaching out to ensnare me in its grasp. Just as I feared all hope was lost, a faint glimmer of light appeared in the distance, beckoning me towards salvation. With renewed determination, I sprinted towards the light, my heart pounding in my chest as I raced towards freedom. As I burst from the confines of the closet, gasping for breath, I collapsed to the ground, relief flooding through me like a tidal wave. The nightmare was over, but the memory of the horrors I had witnessed would haunt me forever. From that day forth, I kept the closet firmly shut, sealing away the darkness that lurked within. But deep down, I knew that the terrors I had faced would never truly be gone, and that the creaking closet would forever remain a portal to the hidden horrors that lurked just beyond the threshold. It was supposed to be a relaxing getaway, a weekend retreat in a cozy cabin nestled deep in the woods. But as soon as we arrived, I knew something was off. The cabin had an eerie vibe, like it was watching us with unseen eyes. But my friends brushed off my concerns, eager to unwind after a long week. As night fell and we settled in for the evening, strange things started happening. It started with the sound of scratching coming from the walls, like something was trying to claw its way inside. At first, we laughed it off, attributing it to the creaks and groans of an old cabin settling into the earth. But as the night wore on, the scratching grew louder, more persistent, until it felt like it was coming from inside the room. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, but then I saw them, the shadows. They moved like living things, slithering across the walls and ceiling with a life of their own. At first I thought it was just a trick of the light, but then I saw the gleam of eyes, glowing in the darkness like coals in a fire. My friends didn't see them, at least, not at first. But as the shadows grew bolder, creeping closer and closer to our beds, they couldn't deny the truth any longer. We tried to barricade ourselves in the room, to block out the shadows and the scratching, but it was no use. They were everywhere, crawling through the cracks in the walls and slipping beneath the door like liquid darkness. In a last desperate bid for safety, we fled into the night, abandoning the cabin and its haunted inhabitants. But even now I can't shake the feeling of those shadows, lurking in the darkness, waiting for their next victim. I never believed in ghosts. Not until I spent a night in that accursed room. It started innocently enough. My friends and I were on a road trip, looking for adventure and cheap thrills. When we stumbled upon the quaint bed and breakfast nestled in the heart of the countryside, we thought we had hit the jackpot. Little did we know the bed and breakfast had a dark secret lurking within its walls. As soon as we checked in, I noticed something off about room 6, the bed. It looked ancient, like it had been there since the dawn of time. But it wasn't just the bed's appearance that unnerved me, it was the feeling I got when I approached it, like a cold hand gripping my heart. Despite my misgivings, I brushed off my unease and settled in for the night. But as I lay in bed, trying to drift off to sleep, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. That's when it started, the whispers. At first, they were barely audible, like the wind rustling through the trees outside. But as the night wore on, they grew louder, more insistent, until they filled the room like a cacophony of voices. I tried to ignore them, to convince myself that it was just my imagination running wild. But then the bed started to shake violently, as if possessed by some unseen force. I leaped out of bed, my heart pounding in my chest, and stumbled towards the door. But as I reached for the handle, I felt a cold hand close around my wrist, pulling me back. I turned around, expecting to see one of my friends playing a prank on me. But there was no one there, just an empty room filled with the echoing whispers of the dead. I don't know how long I stood there, trapped in that haunted room, but eventually the whispers faded, and the bed stopped shaking. With trembling hands, I made my escape, vowing never to return to that cursed place again. But even now, years later, I can still hear the whispers in the night, haunting me like a specter from the past.